Hello everybody, welcome back to the Lore of Vasten Kyth story. This is episode 6. It's presented as an audiobook podcast style, so you can just listen. The cinematics on screen are unrelated to the story. So, where we left off, Kyth is walking down the road with his grandson Jomis, telling him a story of his youth. What happened is, Kyth went into the Nether following Prince Rydar with his friends Thom and Gibby. They had to break all the portals to strand the zombie pigmen in the Nether. Kyth had 12 portals on his list that he had to break, the 12th being the final one at the zombie pigmen capital city. So at where we left off was at the second to last one. The only two left were Kyth and Thom, his friend Thom Thawkins, which we just learned in a groundbreaking, surprising twist. Thom Thawkins is the ranger from an earlier, much earlier Vasten story. So Thom Thawkins goes through the portal to take care of Kyth's unborn baby. And Kyth goes running off to the last portal. He's the last one from their detachment. So this is where we're going to pick up. Episode 6. I hope you enjoy. Leave me a like if you don't mind, a comment. Let me know how you like the story so far. It's 8 total episodes, so we got 2 more after this to sort of wrap this puppy up. I'll see you next episode. Thanks so much for coming by, and enjoy. I went quickly to work, breaking the nether portal before running. Using just a small fraction of Thom's redstone charge and a full gold rune I applied before setting out, I could move like lightning. I heard the sounds of battle long before I saw it. Leaping over a small lava pond, I climbed a cliff. A full war was raging at the final portal. This was the main portal inside the pigmen's capital city. I ran through the rear of the army of men, searching for Prince Rydar. I finally found him, fighting alongside a half-elf Gilda. He smiled when he saw me. I pulled him back. We need to counsel. The Prince, Gilda, and one commander from Port Bray's army, Sergeant Ward, were the only remaining members of the council. What's happening here? This attack wasn't scheduled for hours yet, I asked Rydar. We were spotted. They sounded the alarm and forced our hand. It doesn't look as if we're making progress, I said, scanning the hills along the battle lines. We have maybe 100, 120 men left. No Druze until you came along, the gruff sergeant spit. Rydar turned to me. They have too many. Their lines aren't moving. I'm out of Enderium. I turned to find a nearby boy. Get my gear bag. As the boy disappeared around the corner, I turned to see what was left of the council. I can do it. Rydar asked, What do you need of us? Are we reasonably certain this is the last portal? The council nodded. As certain as we can be, given, the old sergeant gestured into the chaos before us. Send the remaining troops to the front. Make it look like we're trying to break through. I looked hard at Sergeant Ward. You must empty our ranks. Show them this is it, our final push. If they see we aren't holding anything back, perhaps they won't either. Prepare for the final push, but wait for my signal. The sergeant nodded and hurried out of the room, leaving Gilda, Rydar, and myself. Gilda, I need the bones of a zombie pigman. Her face paled, shaking her head. No, Kyth, it's forbidden. Rydar, is there a chance we win this battle? The prince looked over the battle, still raging. If we had attacked together, according to the plan, perhaps. But now, he didn't need to finish. Go, Gilda. I need a body now as it takes some time. She left, her face grim in determination. What is this plan, Kyth? The prince was very knowledgeable in war, but my plan involved forbidden glyphs that have been buried in the Zygon Society for many, many years. We have many abilities, as you know. Some are more common than others. There is one, specifically, no one outside of the society knows of. A boy brought my pack in, and I started mixing fresh Enderium solutions. A Druid with a bone affinity is able to take the form of another living being. The prince was startled. I was told you can only use metals to draw your runes. Yes, that is what we allow the outside world to know of. Some, the half-elves, a few rangers perhaps, know of this ability. I glanced up, seeing the realization dawn on my friend. How accurate is this form? It's completely accurate, Rydar, down to the lines on your hands. With this ability, you could replace anyone in the world. That's why the Zygon Society outlawed it and have systematically purged any mention of it. There have been a few times it was used, but not for hundreds of years. Gilda dragged the body of a small pigman into our room. I nodded thanks, picked up an axe, and went to work. I walked across the battlefield, my pigmen gold armor covering my runes all over my body. It was perhaps the most glyphs I had ever worn, but the oddest of all of them were my bone glyphs. Bone glyphs go in the back. We think this was designed by the gods to make sure no single person could do forbidden magic alone. I had to instruct Gilda and Prince Ryder extremely carefully to make sure the runes were perfect. The battle still raged in front of the pigmen castle. I walked to the gate, looked back to the overlook where my friends waited. Lifting my golden sword over my head, I gave the signal. All of our remaining troops poured out onto the battlefield. They went directly to the spot I had pointed out to Sergeant Ward. It only took the Blazes moments to order all the remaining troops to reinforce their lines. This was it. All or nothing. I turned and walked into the castle of the pigmen. Walking quickly, I needed to move with intent so I wouldn't be questioned. While the bone glyphs gave me the appearance of dead pigmen, I knew none of their language. I had to find my way to the portal quickly. Our troops wouldn't hold for long. I moved past dozens of pigmen rushing out the gate initially, but after that, huge halls were nearly empty. I began drawing on my lapis runes. Lapis is probably the hardest rune to explain. It is the ore of luck, or second sight. I drew deeply on the rune. It would last only a few seconds, but by far it is the fastest rune to dissipate. I needed it. There were hundreds of rooms and stairs in every direction. This castle was like a funhouse mirror version of a castle. Nothing was organized in a traditional, logical way. I could feel something almost pull me to the left. I quickly walked up a flight of stairs, then another, skipping dozens of doors. Finally, I turned to the left again and opened a door. Inside stood an unguarded nether portal. I went to work immediately, pulling my pick off my back, drawing hard on my iron glyphs. It wouldn't take long. Just a few minutes later, the portal was broken and the obsidian dropped into lava. I stood on a small balcony and signaled again for the sergeant to pull our troops back. I turned to walk out of the castle. Some of my lapis rune remained, and I didn't feel like risking any confrontations on my exit, so I pulled on it. Something was calling me from behind. Stopping my tracks, I felt for it. It was like a nudging to go back and look for something. Did I miss a second portal? I had to go look. Turning, I walked back to the castle, feeling for the sensation. There it was, coming from below me. I searched for a few moments for a way down, then simply pulled up my pick again. Its durability almost finished, but enough for a block or two. The nether brick broke and fell into a room. It was large and dark. I lowered myself in and dropped to the floor, iron runes strengthening my legs. The room was lit only by lava rivers and running along the floors, so it took my eyes a few seconds to adjust. I will never forget the sight. There were rows and rows of cells suspended from the ceiling, each holding people. So many people. There had to be more than 100 women and children. I was stunned. They looked at me with fear, my zombie pigman skin still holding strong. I gestured, "Don't worry, we're here." I think they didn't know what to make of it. A pigman who could speak in common tongue? "We have a human army outside the walls. I will save you." I turned and ran out of the room. I needed to tell Prince Ryder of these people. What was left of the council sat in our spawn camp. After the army retreated, the pigmen gave chase for just a bit before returning to their castle. "How many people were there?" Gibby asked. "At least 100. We need to find out what their plans are." I answered, turning, looking at my old friend. "Take some emerald and go talk to a pigman prisoner. Then another after that. Keep going until one of them will tell you what's going on." Gibby stood and left. He had studied a bit of the pigman language at the Zygon school and could con them into talking, if they knew anything at least. The room was somber, especially considered we had actually succeeded against all odds. All the nether portals had been closed and destroyed. The zombie pigmen blazes and their minions would be trapped in the nether forever. I looked around the room. The prince was leaning on me for guidance, but I could feel my bone glyph running out. My pigman skin was still on, but I knew when it faded, I would collapse from the sheer exhaustion of her holding it for so long. "I will need to recover for a time," I said to the room. "I'm sorry. Try to wake me when we are ready to move." One of Ryder's aides helped me to my room, and I passed the skin off me and fell into a deep glipper sleep.